excited to have everyone here. Very different audiences. Everyone creates different, amazing things. Nick is an incredible motivational speaker, life coach, amazing content. Savannah is a filmmaker, a magician when it comes to editing. And Ian's just Ian's brand. Actor, skits, comedy.
A little bit of everything.
Always has a different hairstyle.
Yeah.
So
I don't know who that was on the picture.
I didn't even see it before. I didn't see it before.
3 years ago.
I want to hear about how you guys use your content to reach different audiences and like how your fan bases work. So like, tell me like right now, like what is the state of your content and how do you get beyond America, because you're all in America now, to reach international audiences?
I actually wanted to go off on TikTok in the last meeting because
you can do whatever you want.
Personally, like I love TikTok. It was my start to everything. Like got to 14 million on there and that like blew up everything else, and YouTube's bigger than that now. But I now make different content for YouTube than on Instagram. I make content for a younger audience on YouTube because there's just so many kids on there. Like it's insane how many kids are on YouTube. It's the reason why Mr. Beast's so huge. On Instagram, it's more like 18 to like 30. And I make content on there that relates to people on that age frame. So I guess like it's like, social media is getting to a place where it's like it's almost unattainable how much reach you can get because literally everyone's on it. Like how you mentioned, everyone has a phone in the world. That you kind of have to like get into second. Does anybody watch anime at all? Do you know Solo Leveling, like the Second Awakening? I feel like you gotta like get into that gear and just like really let go of everything and go full in on what you have to do and just like literally lock in. Like I don't know, we were talking about locking in earlier, but you gotta lock in and like make as much as you can and just go ham on truly being yourself in the way that everyone can kind of relate to and build a mass audience. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Savannah, we were talking before, you make amazing fever dream videos and it's very visual. There's not much speaking. So being visual, you don't need to know English. You can really read, like anyone can be anywhere in the world and understand your videos. Tell me how that affects kind of your audience and like, do you think about that when you're creating?
Yeah, so I consider myself a storyteller and filmmaker, and so I kind of created my own genre that I would like to call Fever Dreams, which is like comedy mixed with horror, and I form it into a skit, like a mini short film almost. So I try not to rely on dialogue much in my stories, so that way they can appeal to anybody in the world. And I get lots of comments from all over the world in different languages, and so that just proves that it doesn't need to rely on dialogue as much as just like visual effects and like funny transitions and lots of costumes, and so that's, yeah.
I love it. Nick, you're also very visual, action-based, but also you powerful words and everything. How do you find you have an international audience? Do you find that they're mostly Americans? How do you kind of spread your message?
Yeah, absolutely. There's been an evolution to my content. When I was 18, I was famous on Vine for pretending to be a zombie and scaring people in Walmart. Okay. And then I moved into bodybuilding, surprisingly, and then I moved into speaking. And so I've had all these evolutions of my identity. And I noticed that I killed off that playful version of myself to try to people please the business world. Okay. And so I did that and became professional global speaker. But now I'm at this point of reinventing myself and going back to that playful side of me. So now the content is a combination of inspiration and entertainment. And I feel like now I actually moved to Dubai 4 months ago, and what I'm really doing is finding who has the audience that I want and how can I collaborate with them. But most importantly, do they align with my core values and my mission, because you can kill your brand by association. And not even just by the single person, but who do they hang around? And so remember, one bad scene can mess up the whole movie, and I'm not trying to mess up this movie. I worked so hard for it.
You sound like a parent being like, oh, don't hang out with don't hang out with those kids, they're bad news.
I just worked too hard for it.
What sort of, real quick, you said you're going back to kind of the more entertainment, more playful stuff. What do you have planned?
Yeah, great. So what I've realized is when I went really nerdy on speaking and neuroscience, that I wasn't meeting people at their level of consciousness. And so I would create a piece of content that would be educational, that can change your life, but there wouldn't be much engagement because no one knows what I'm saying. Yeah. And so now my intention with Omnipresence is how can I make an inspiring, deep, meaningful video that doesn't really say much and it's super simple, that's shareable. And I'm a walking thumbnail. So how do I leverage that to my ability too?
Tony, you didn't get announced. Thanks for joining us. And Marie, you're going to help.
Yes. Yeah.
You have you're from France. and your content's very universal. It's about love. And so you don't need much translation. What is your community like? And when you create, how do you think of your global audience?
Actually, the community of Tony moves a lot, and it depends on the video that he creates. For example, when he creates a video with a person from like an Asian country, that will bring the Asian people to his channel. So he tries to have a lot of diversity to talk to every ethnicity. And this is a very, as you said, universal message because you spread kindness, you spread happiness through the screen. And this is the goal of every content that he creates. There is no border. There is a message that everybody can understand in an easy way. So this is how he creates and how he think about his community.
Very cool. Everyone talk, there's so many metrics. Everyone always is talking about like follower count, but people say that's kind of just bragging, inflated. It's really about engagement. How do you all engage with your community if they might be a different language, different culture, different geography? Like, how does that engagement work when you have a global community?
I'll touch on this. So I love to respond to comments as much as I can. I know us as creators get so many millions of comments every day, but on certain platforms, there's like translation tools where you can respond to those comments even if you don't understand the language. So that's something that I do.
Which platforms have that?
So TikTok, Instagram does for sure, and I'm not sure if YouTube does. I'm sure somebody else knows if it does, but.
And how many languages does it translate to?
I actually am not sure on that one, but I'm sure it's quite a lot of them.
Ian, did you do skits in other languages, or would you use technology to translate it maybe into Spanish or French?
Yeah, no, I was part of YouTube's testing beta program where they had AI dubbing for literally in-house in the YouTube studio for different videos. I tried it a bit. It was pretty awesome. Different people from different countries tried it too in English, and I saw it, and it was pretty impressive. I think as these... It really does suck sometimes when a great startup comes around and like a company like Meta or YouTube comes and buys it out, but that's just the nature of the business. And I think YouTube, Meta, they're all getting to a point where like, yeah, they're translating it on their own platforms. And I think now that YouTube's had success in their own dubbing program with AI, it's gonna be rolled out to every single, I can't speak for YouTube, yeah. But like, I have a feeling it's gonna get rolled out to everyone. And I mean, why does Mr. Beast get so many views on every single video? He's got it dubbed in every single language, and once AI has control, speaking back to AI, once AI has control over that, and it does it really well, which it's getting to that point now with the exception of a couple errors, like, everyone's gonna be able to watch everyone's videos, which is, I think, really beautiful. And like, art needs to be shared to everyone across the world, and that's why songs and music does so well, because you just feel it. And I think content's getting to that place where there's a reason why lots of videos get billions of views now. Yeah. Like a single video can get billions of views. That's crazy.
And like, you know how YouTube has, there'll be like, it might be like Ian Boggs in French, and there's like Savannah's Spanish channel. Like, they're different channels. You think it will come to a point like they know where you are and they'll just feed you the dub based on where you're going? Is that, we having that?
Yeah, no, so like that's why like they wrote out dubbing in the in-house, like in the YouTube studio, because then you can go to video and like insert titles in different languages, and if I post a video like, I did a video where I deleted social media for a week, so like that can be translated to Spanish, and if someone sees that thumbnail or video title in Spain, they'll see the title in Spanish and click on it, and it'll automatically roll the video through in the Spanish dub.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
Yeah. How does having a global audience affect your money making and your brand deals?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it comes down to data, but I'm very needs driven. And so I think identifying your audience's needs and creating content around that, but also when you go into a brand deal or you go into a meeting, instead of saying like, this is all about me, you ask them inquiring questions about their needs, their challenges, and then you create the offer based off that. Mm-hmm. And so if you can over-deliver off brands' needs, they will always come back to you to do business, but also with your audience. You know, oftentimes we create content based on what we want, but how often do you ask your people, what do they want? What's performing? What do you like? What do you want to see more of? And so there's so many times where we get this maybe creation block when I always remember that my people have the gold, and if I can serve my people, they'll stay with me forever.
Very cool. Tony, is most of your audience French, European, or is all over the globe? What is?
All, yeah.
It's actually all over the world.
All over the world. And when all of you work on deals, like, do they ask about like what is your American audience, or how much of your audience is in China, or how much is it in like Dubai, Europe, or does that matter in the deals?
Yeah, it depends on the brand that will contact us. When it's a French brand, it will matter. They will ask you, okay, what is the amount of your French audience? And if it's for Tony, sometimes it's not that, this is not the biggest part. So some French brand could say, okay, we need another type of influencer. But for the worldwide brand, they will take a look on all of the country, but actually on every video, and this is maybe a special case for Tony, on every video, the first country that will be on the top of the list is every time different. Mm-hmm. Sometimes this is the USA, sometimes this is Indonesia, it could be Japan. There is, like, every video is originals, there is a different person on it, so it changed every time.
Well, I know Savannah and Ian, you guys both do a lot of film production. I mean, you join production companies and help spread film, new movies, and market that way. Is having an international audience, do they like that because they do a brand deal and they're getting the movie spread across the world, or they want this like, oh, this movie's coming out, you know, Shogun's coming out on Netflix, we want this for America. Like, how does that affect your brand deals? Do they look at these numbers? Do they care about like the international reach or not?
They do, but I think the entire world, especially Netflix and other streaming platforms, are realizing, same way with like YouTube and social media, are realizing that like the audience is worldwide now. It's not just in America. I do keep my video, like my shorts and all that, mostly in English because I get more money from American brand deals, and most of my brand deals do come from American companies, and every creator wants to make the most money they can, and that's the best way I can do it. But I think as we grow, like especially being in Dubai has a lot of money, and like it'd be great to put videos.
Really? They do? Really?
Yeah, I don't know. It's pretty cool. It's just like the world's. Hollywood especially is realizing that like they don't have all the money, all the views in the world, and especially with Squid Game, like the Korean show is the most viewed show in the world. It's insane. It's getting to a place where it doesn't. The language barrier is breaking away, and AI is a good place to start. It's creating that barrier breakdown. Yeah.
Savannah, how about you? When you work with a movie or work with somebody, they like the fact that you're global? Do they want to say, oh, no, I want to hone this for American audiences? Or they say, just spread the word around the globe with all your followers?
I think they do care to an extent, but it does just help to get eyes, regardless if it is in English or in a different language. But as long as I'm making my content true to myself, I think that's what they really want, is just me and my audience to see their movie.
That's a good point. Like, when you create, do you think about the audience, or do you think about, you know what, I'm going to make something that I enjoy and let the marketplace decide what they want?
I think it's a combination.
Is there a core person you think about, or is it stuff that you just think interests you and you just want to do it?
Yeah, I think it's a combination, because if you built your whole business off not something enjoyable, you're really a slave to the business. And so I think there's a combination of what you like, but also intertwining that with the needs of your people. And so, you know, oftentimes influencers or Instagrammers, whatever you want to call them, are like, oh, I'm shadow banned, my content's not being seen. No, content's bad. Yeah. And it's not being pushed. It's just the truth. Your content's not being pushed because no one likes it. And so when you identify something that goes viral, do it again. You've struck oil. And so, and for a lot of us, we think success correlates to struggle, that it's got to be hard, but it doesn't. And so when something's so easy, sometimes we sabotage it because we think it's got to be more complex than what it is.
What was your first big viral break?
I crawled around Walmart screaming with blood on my face. This is terrible. I scared someone in a Walmart, and it was the #1 video on Vine. That led me to The Walking Dead hiring me to do a prank in Japan. And I pranked people all over the world and did some savage things. And then I had to clean up my act. And so now I'm in Dubai, I'm a good boy.
Nice, I love that. Tony, when you make, who do you think of when you create? Who's the key audience when you're creating?
First, he will think about the reaction. He will focus on the reaction. This is the thing that makes the video work. So at first, in his first video, there were one moment of reaction, the reaction of the person that received the rose. But after, he was thinking about, okay, but in the background, can we make something more to keep the attention focused on the video? So he had it like a second moment in the video. Sometimes he pretended that he's falling on the floor just after giving the roses to catch the attention a second time. Or sometimes at the end of the video, there is another special happening with the girls. So he tried to think about the reaction and also to focus a lot on the background. He used very special spot on Paris, magical one, the one that you can also see in favorite in the famous series, TV shows like Emily in Paris, during Emily in Paris and Netflix. It was the good moment to go in the same spot to recreate videos. So he tried to think about the landscape, the environment, and also in every action that he does, to make it special and to catch the attention every time.
Last topic is, it might go a little deep here, guys, maybe a little too deep for you. The world is getting more like separate, right? Countries, politicians are looking inward on their own countries, make X country first, let's be isolationists, not globalists. Your content has no borders, it flies around the world. Like, how is content gonna be affected by this kind of political feel, or is it not going to have effect at all? And what are the role of creators to kind of spread trends, spread messages across a closing world?
It's a tough question.
I told you, Ian, tough.
Yeah.
Tough, man.
I'll go. You want
Yeah,
me?
go ahead.
Okay, I got you. I think the competition or the challenge with political tension is really just an opportunity for you to grow and pivot. As a content creator, influencer, as an entrepreneur, business owner, you're never going to not have to pivot. And so we can look at it as a curse, or we can look at it as a great blessing to allow us to pivot. But I would say with content and inclusion, the one thing that is universal is struggle, is authenticity. And I think oftentimes influencers fall into their desire for fame and fall into their desire for money, and those are the two lowest vibrations. And so I want you to remember that if you operate out of authenticity, it's the highest vibration, but authenticity and struggles is universal, and you can bridge worlds and people through your struggles, and they also get to realize you're a human being. Oftentimes they look at us, I mean, I'm short, but they look at us like they're really, really tall and we're all mighty and nothing's wrong with us, and they're so out of touch. And so get back into the trenches with your people and let them know what you struggle with, and you'll build a deep, meaningful community.
I think that's the final word, everybody. I mean, let's end on that. Thank you.
Actually, I want to say one more thing on the last question, because there's so many creators in here, and this is a tip that really helped me about authenticity. There's something that this creator named Karen Fukuhara said that she follows. This Karen Fukuhara.
Okay.
But she's a great creator, really creative, genuinely creative. She gave me this one rule where that I think every creator should kind of follow to an extent, because we all know what goes viral for us, what does well for us, what performs well for us, but following that is a low vibration. So I try to follow a 2-for-1 rule where every 2 videos that you know is going to go viral, do well, appease your audience. 1 video, do it for yourself. And that's how we kind of evolve. And a lot of us do it naturally without realizing it, but knowing that that's what we do helps us understand, it's like a diagnosis in a way. It helps us understand what does well and why we evolve and why we can continue to evolve. So just want to share that. So that
2 for 1.
2 for 1, 2 for your audience, 1 for yourself, and eventually it'll even out and it'll continue its process.
Oh,
So good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you, guys.